Welcome to Jen Cares, powered by Chozen Live Podcast. Here we engage in tough talks and meaningful conversations. Each week, we feature a guest that will help us stay in the know. We're a podcast that brings the community to you every Monday at 8 p.m. on Facebook and YouTube. If you're watching on Facebook, be sure to like and follow our page. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to subscribe so that you never miss a show. Now, here's your host, Jen Cares.
Oh, well, good evening and welcome to Jen Cares, powered by Chozen Counselors. I am your host, Jen Cares, the founder of Chozen Counselors, a nonprofit organization that seeks to inspire, motivate, empower, and strengthen individuals and families. As always, I want to say thank you to each and every one of you for tuning in, catching a replay, liking, commenting, and all that jazz. If you're watching on Facebook, be sure to like so that you always know when we're going live and posting something new to share with the community. If you're watching by way of YouTube, be sure to subscribe so you too can always know when we're dropping something new. I want to say a special shout out to our guest from last week, George Turner, also known as GT. Man, when I tell you he has marketed that episode like none other, my hat is off to you, sir. I have learned some tips and feedbacks and things of how I could also promote. He did a post. He said, I have so many friends trying to get the episode to 100 views. And baby, he did that in a couple of days. I truly, truly do appreciate each and every one of you for liking any episode of Jen Cares, for any support that you have given. It really does my heart glad and encourages me to keep on going in this thing called podcasting life, right? I just want to say thank you. Tonight's theme is I Understood the Assignment. As you know, this month's theme is Live, Laugh, Love, and Learn, because life will teach us how to live. Life will teach us how to laugh. Life will teach us how to love, and it will teach us how to learn. And tonight we're going to talk about I Understood the Assignment. And I am so very, very happy to have our guest on tonight. Before we get into it, I do want to share a Black History fact. Last week I shared about the first African-American social worker, and tonight I'm going to talk about the first African-American, Black History Month time. Dun, 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 Black History Month. Tonight we honor Dr. Francis Sumner. Dr. Sumner is known as the father of Black psychology, as he was the first African-American to receive a PhD in psychology. Though a teenager without a high school education, he was able to pass an entrance exam to Lincoln University and graduated magna cum laude with honors. Although he was approved as a PhD candidate, he could not begin his doctoral dissertation because he was drafted into the Army during World War I. Upon returning from the war, he re-enrolled in the doctoral program at Clark, and in 1920, his dissertation titled Psychoanalysis of Freud and Adler was accepted. Sumner is also credited as one of the founders of the psychology department at Howard University, which he chaired in 1928 until his death in 1954. So today we give up to the first African-American male to receive his PhD in psychology. As you know, I do therapy, and I thought that was so cool to share about him. So don't forget our Black History fact of today. So let's get into it. As shared tonight, we have the amazing Toya Marshall. She goes by T. Marche, and she's talking about I understood the assignment. Friends, do you understand the assignment? We're going to find out today. So help me welcome our amazing guest, Toya.
Hey, Jen.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me today. I really appreciate you thinking about me during Black History Month.
Yes, we got to celebrate Black History Month. Everybody was talking about Valentine's Day. I was like, it is actually the 14th day of Black History. But all in all, we want to make sure that every day is Love Day and that we also do acknowledge Black history, because not just this month, but like every day. But if we're going to have a month where we're going to really talk about it in this month too, okay?
Yes, I agree.
Awesome. So here at Jen Cares, we always start with a quote of the day. And today's quote of the day is, "The man who has confidence in himself gains the confidence of others." Again, the man who has confidence in himself gains the confidence of others. What's your thoughts on that quote?
So my thoughts on the man who has confidence in himself gains the confidence of others. So you can't have confidence. Well, a lot of times that's flipped around, because we, a lot of times we might have confidence in a whole lot of people, but we might not have confidence in ourselves. But for
Mhm.
me, I need to be able to be confident in the thing that God has given me to do, that talent, that gifting, that anointing that God has placed upon my life first before it can be carried out. And so for me as a stylist, I always try to help boost the esteem of my clients, the esteem of people who I come in contact with, but make by making them feel good.
Mhm.
Because confidence is within itself. And sometimes, growing up, as a person, you might not have that confidence. You might have low self-esteem. You might think that my skin is too dark. We are talking about Black history. Growing up for me, I was very short. And I'm still currently still short. I haven't gained an inch. So people always picked on me because I was short. I always ended up at the back of the line or the front of the line, depending on if we were going in size order. And then people always thought that they can pick on me because I was this short person, but that didn't deter who I was and who I was becoming, because you could be short and powerful. You could be Black and powerful. You can have a
Mhm.
lot of, people put a lot of stipulations on you. They put a lot of stereotypes on you as a person, and that will kill your confidence. But
Mhm.
one thing that I know, by me serving the Lord, has allowed me and afforded me to have great confidence in who I am, confidence in who I serve, confidence in how I walk, confidence in how I approach life, period. Especially during these perilous times, we are facing a lot. It's a lot of things that's going on in our world. There's a lot of epidemics that are arising. People, are going through hard times, and sometimes that can kill your confidence. And so for me, my confidence in God allows me to have the confidence in myself, this way that I can see confidence in others.
You came ready. I appreciate that. Mm, let's break down some of it, right? Because you both
Okay.
started saying how it gets backwards. Sometimes we can have so much confidence in others. Let's talk about that. What causes us to have confidence in somebody else? Like, we don't even know if they can do it or not. We just know they showed up. We went to the restaurant. We got some kind of confidence that they're gonna cook that food right and it's gonna come out as it should be.
Right.
We have so much confidence in that, but we don't have the confidence in ourselves. So let's talk about how the reverse happens of being confident in other people and thinking that we can't do it.
I just think sometimes when we don't build ourselves, or we don't talk to ourselves with affirmations and speaking those things that as though they are, that will kill our confidence. And I really believe that it comes with our upbringing, who we are around, who's pouring into us, what type of programs that our parents have us involved in, and sometimes it might not even be able. I would say that sometimes people don't have the ability to be around people who are boosting confidence levels, or who are pouring into you the correct way so that you can grow up with confidence. I know when I grew up, I had three sisters that I really looked up to, and I always wanted to be like them. And they did everything right, and I did everything wrong. And so I always say, when I grow up, I want to be like this person. When I grow up, I want to have the confidence that that person have. When I grow up, I want to be like this. But I never said, when I grow up, I want to be like, a person who was not doing anything in the earth, or that wasn't that great or powerful. I always pattern myself after someone who I felt is great, during that particular time. And then after a while, I think, when people started picking on me too much because I was short, I just started getting this confidence within myself and telling myself that, I'm short, but I'm powerful. I'm short, but I'm still, great. I have some great things or great characteristics about me. It doesn't, deter who I am, because I'm this short person in stature, but my attitude is powerful. My attitude is great. I'm big and tall, not so much in stature, but in my mind, and so I grew to that confidence. I have not always had this confidence that I have currently. I had to grow to that. And I think that comes with maturity. I think that comes with a lot of educating myself or educating yourself. I think it comes with just life, period. Like, people don't want self-esteem. Low self-esteem. Who walks around with low self-esteem? Wanting low self-esteem, excuse me. Who walks around with low self-esteem or wanting low self-esteem? I think people want that confidence, but they don't have people to pour into them the way that they should. so that can boost their, self-esteem. And that's where I come in at as a person. When God gave me this gifting, he gave me this anointing. I'm always going to tell you that you are a great person. I'm always going to tell you you look great. I'm always going to tell you if you inspire me. It doesn't take anything away from me, for giving you this compliment.
Doesn't take anything away from me. And sometimes that causes us to not praise and, celebrate someone else, because like if I said it to them, and if I don't feel like I'm there, sometimes we think that's taken away. But it's such a blessing to be able to brighten somebody's day. The other day I saw someone, I was like, "You're doing a good job." She was like, "Thank you." I was like, "Oh, that's nice. Thank you." It takes nothing from you to compliment somebody
Nothing.
else. And I'm the person, they be like, "Oh, that's nice. Oh, I got it from Walmart. And it got pockets." Or, I'm
That's
gonna give
it
you a
right
scoop
there.
too, because how I wear it, how you wear it is two different things. And you'll be beautiful in
Yeah.
it just like I'm beautiful in it. Like that confidence. And like you say, it did not come overnight.
Right, right. And I think you grow into that, sometimes, as a young person, you might not have the confidence that you had, currently as an adult. You have to get to that stature in life. And so I think that is great, for me to keep maturing in life, to be able to get to that point where I can tell my brother or my sister or someone out on the street, "Hey, you look good," or "I enjoyed, your presentation on today." It doesn't take anything away, just like you said, it doesn't take anything away from my gifting, my anointing, or is not going to take anything away from me shopping from Walmart versus Target. Some people prefer Walmart, some people prefer Target. It is how you wear it. And when you wear it well. I don't have a problem with complimenting anyone about anything. And I think it took me, a little bit of time, to say, "Hey, I'm great at what I do. You great at what you do. You look great with what you have on, and I look great with what I have on."
I like it. Now, in that process of getting to have the confidence for you, what do you think was essential in you building up your armor to know without a doubt, like I'm that chick, I'm good too, and this lane that I'm in.
Well, like I said earlier on in the conversation, I was always picked on because I was short, but I always had great style. I always was that unique one
Mhm, mhm.
that did things outside of the book. And I always, would challenge myself based off of, like, if my mom said, "Oh, you can't wear that," or "You're wearing this black and white," or whatever, I would add a little pop to the black and white, throw a little red in there, or add a pin, or add a sash or something like that. And then I grew up in a very strict environment, Christian Pentecostal environment, where we couldn't wear our hair a certain way. We couldn't wear makeup or earrings and things like that. So I had to become creative. And so with me becoming creative, that built my confidence in knowing if I liked it and I looked in the mirror, "Oh, hey, that looks good." I never looked to people telling me that I look good. And I think that's the small part where I just knew I looked good for myself. I didn't wait for people to tell me, "Hey, you look good today." I just knew it. And, I'm not trying to be big headed, or I'm not trying to act like I'm better than anybody. It's just something that has always been my niche. I have multiple sisters. My mom dressed us all the same. And I always would put a twist on with my mom. She bought us, matter of fact, she bought us the same particular outfit, and I hated it. I wanted my own individuality. And I used to be like, "Well, Mom, why you always got to dress me like them? Let me wear, like something like this or whatever." And she's like, "No, it's just easier for me to shop, to buy 3 or 4 of these outfits instead of just one, because, having girls growing up, it does take a lot of time with hair and attire and things of that nature." But then, after a while, when I started growing into my own individuality, I started seeing something special about me. Just that style, just a particular, like little difference than my friends that went to church. I always never looked like them. I always was different. And I think, I started noticing that early on, even when it comes down to playing, they would want to play, like jacks and things of that nature. And I wanted to play with my Barbie dolls so that I can dress them up. And my mom did not have, money to buy me like the different outfits for my Barbie doll. So I made my own out of tissue paper or toilet paper and napkins and things of that nature. I would cut up like old t-shirts and things of that nature and give my Barbie doll a new outfit. So I always knew that I was different. I always had the confidence in my attire. But let me tell you something, Jen. I always struggle with the inside of how I felt. I was a people pleaser, and that, I know, right? It it comes, sometimes, it's like, oh, you have the confidence and looking well, but guess what? What's going on that inside? So yeah, so I haven't always been confident in my entire area of life, but I have been confident in my external looks. But one day, I was praying, and the Lord, was dealing with me with what was going on the inside. So I'm going to stop right there, because I know you probably have another question, as it relates
Yeah,
to confidence.
because it's so good. Ironically, our youth pastor preached yesterday. He was talking about put a smile on your face, and he was talking about how have a merry heart, and sometimes how God wants us to smile. And it's funny because that's always my prayer for my pastor. I'll be like, God, make his heart smile, because it takes a lot to
Oh
sacrifice
yeah.
to do these things. So when I say a prayer for him, I'm like, God, make his heart smile, because we special. I know, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But in his sermon, he was sharing of how we do things on the outer to make it portray as one thing,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
that we're
yeah.
going through something totally different. And that it's a process of on the outside looking all well put together, but on the inside struggling like, am I enough? Is this good? And that battle
Mm,
that you have until you finally get that inner to match with that outer, oh, that you something to be, not to be played with, okay? Because now them lined up. Oh, I'm good with this. Whatever you say is good. I already know that I look good, and I like that you would put like that splash of colors. It's almost like what I think about. I understood this time was like, okay, so this is what I gotta wear. Got it. Challenge accepted. Let me see how I can do this to spruce it up. And with that
mm-hmm.
confidence that you have to go out, it was like, Smikes is like, I could put that together too, or I could put something similar together. I remember
Right.
one time I was mixing prints, and I just walked out that. I was like, "Hey, we're gonna see what it do." Somebody was like, "Oh, that looks nice." I was like, "Thanks," because I just had confidence. I held my head up high. It was like, "Oh, nice." Sometimes it look right. You be like, "Let's just try it." Why not? And that's that part of letting it line up, being bold, unashamed,
Being bold,
seeing what's
being
gonna
bold
do.
and unashamed. Yes, absolutely. And I love the fact that, you wasn't afraid to try the mixing of the prints. And a lot of times people won't do that because they go with what is trendy, what the style rules are, but there are no style rules today. But I like the part. Let's just talk about like dressing up the outward appearance, if you don't mind. Because that's why I call myself the minister of fashion, because and how faith and fashion came apart, or came about, because, I was going to church. I was brought up and raised in church. I mean, every time the church doors were open, I was there. And a lot of times when we spend so much time in church, we don't get to have that personal relationship with God. We basically, have that form of fashion, but denying the power thereof. We might have a small relationship with Christ, but it might not be developed to where God need us to be. And so we still want to move and act like the world. And I'm not talking about in like our attire. I'm just talking about like with our attitude, like the attributes of Christ, the characteristics of God. And so God dealt with me with that thing. He made me in his image, in the likeness of his image. And I was like, wait a minute, God, now. So if you made me just like you, I can't be popping off, I can't be cursing people out. I can't be wanting to fight because, like I was still saved, but I still would curse you out. I still would fight. I was a mess. I was a dressed up mess. And then I will be the first one to get up and dance and shout in church. I mean, it's nothing wrong with that, because the Bible speaks about that progressive sanctification, right? And so
Yeah.
we all are progressively being sanctified. And so for me, that thing just threw me a loop and was like, well, wait a minute now, what is the difference between you and a non-believer? You just a dressed up mess. And not even talking about the popping off, and not even talking about the cursing you out, and not even talking about just not having, the attributes of Christ, but just dealing with life, period, how I navigated life. I was never able to get to the place where God can totally use me until I totally surrendered my all to him, if that makes sense. And so, that faith and fashion, collides. I always talk about that. How can you have faith? How can you have faith, fashion without faith? And so when God dealt with me with this faith part, and he told me, he said, if you're going to be on this faith journey, you need to trust me. So you need to trust me with everything that you have, everything that you have, your attitude, your disposition, how you navigate life, those dark moments that people don't want to talk about. I never really had suicidal ideation, those things, but there were dark moments. A lot of times that I had dark moments and I didn't know how to get out of depression. And when I'm talking about dressing up a mess, right? We're talking about putting on, clothes over top of a mess, but we're not fully delivered. And so a
Mm,
lot of times that's us as Christians, as believers. Like, we will go to church, we will go to convocation, get out convocation orders. We will be in revival for weeks and weeks and weeks and never change, never seeing our full potential of who we are in Christ.
mm,
That's when I believe that God had to take me through. Glory be to God. God had to take me through a tragic moment in order for me to surrender my all. So back in 2019, I would say, no, I would actually say 2018, it all began when God began to wreck my world. Now, I was styling, I had my boutique, I was having my clients, dressing up my clients,
mhm,
but I wasn't praying for my clients, I wasn't getting the word for my clients, I wasn't encouraging them, I was just dressing them, if that
mm,
makes sense. And so when I was just dressing them, I was just like going on about my way, and they was looking nice. I can say that they were looking nice, and then we went into pandemic. And so there was a time when I interned for the famous or the renowned Jay Bolin. He was my first internship. I did that. He owned me for 6 months. I could not do any other work for anybody else, for any other stylist. And he had me running all over the world. And one day he just trusted me with this assignment that he had in New York. Now he's in Texas and I'm in Philadelphia, but I'm closest to New York, maybe like an hour and 45 minutes away. And he trusted me with that, right? And I'm like, wait, you would trust me? Hold on, no, not me. But he gave me like a small tidbit in my ear. He was like, I seen you, when we had New York Fashion Week, it was like I stood out to him. And like I took I guess the best instructions and I worked the hardest per him, not per me. These are his words, and this is not a made-up story. These are true words from him. And he said that I saw that you had that grit, right? I wanted it so bad and it displayed in my actions or whatever. And so when we went into pandemic, I was like, I want this thing so bad, but how would I get it? And so one day he called me. He was like, we went into pandemic, so everything shut down. We were sheltering in place, Jen, right? And we couldn't go anywhere. And people were like taking calls online. They were Zooming. They were doing meetings. They were going live just like this. And they needed to be dressed, but they only wanted to be dressed from the waist on up. So he asked me. So we weren't making any money any kind of way, any other way. So we had to make our money and become creative. So I was like, I'm not doing anything. He was like, what you mean? We had a check-in. He said, what you mean you're not doing anything? I said, well, we can't go outside. So, it's no need for me to work. He was like, yes, it is. I need you to become creative at styling. So then one day somebody called me and was like, oh, hey, I need a dress. I'm getting married. And it's going to be a small wedding and I'm getting married. And so I'm like, okay, you want me to dress you for your wedding? This was my first time dressing somebody for their wedding. So they said, yeah, it's going to be an intimate wedding. I just need me a beautiful white dress, maybe with a small train or whatever, and I need you to help me. So I panicked. So then I had to call Jay, to get his advice on it or whatever. And he was like, well, later about the dress, because you got that, I want to know what you're doing creatively in order to make some money, in order, to show me that you're doing something different, because you was showing me that you was different out here. So long story short, I'm getting somewhere with this. He said, he asked me, he said, so you are I am Toya Marshall. He was like, everybody is I am, I need you to change your name. And I was like, I ain't doing that, with the slang. I ain't doing that because I was comfortable. I built all this, I built up my following with I am Toya Marshall, like that. And I'm going to keep it like that or whatever. He was like, nah, you ain't ready. You're not ready. So I was like, what do you mean? So then afterwards, like he gave me an assignment. So the assignment was change your name and come up with something creative. So, days went by, weeks went by, and I put this prayer before the Lord. And I was like, God, I want to be creative. I don't want to be stuck in this house. If you called me to be creative, I need you to help my creative wills to start churning. And, God gave me T. Marche. right? But at that time, remember, Jenna, when I said that I was going through something really traumatic in
Yeah.
the house, my life has changed during that time. I'm in a
Mm-hmm.
house sheltering in place, can't go outside, can't shop, can't go get fresh air. I could get fresh air, but shopping was my fresh air.
Gotcha.
Shopping for clients was my fresh air. So I couldn't do that. So I had to shop online. And so he was like, okay, so what are you doing? So I had a follow-up call with him. I said, you know what? The Lord told me to do faith and fashion, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when he said faith and fashion, I'm like, what? So because of that traumatic experience that I was going through at that particular time, I needed to be able to trust God, have
Mm-hmm.
faith with that Ephesians passage, trust in the Lord with all our heart. Like he was challenging me with faith. And so I'm like, God, how you want me on this faith journey? I was already in ministerial classes and all that
Mm-hmm.
kind of stuff, showing up to classes crying, like, these people better leave me alone, because I'm going through a traumatic experience. Don't ask me to do nothing. I ain't praying for nobody. I just want to get online, get on Zoom and look good. I didn't want to do nothing. I did my assignments and I just wanted to look good and just sit in quietness. And that's not what the plan God had for me. He allowed me to talk about, my experience. He had me, talk about this faith journey. So if I'm on live all the time talking about, faith and fashion, then I need to be able to study faith. You know what I'm saying? And so every week that I would come on live, I would have a faith scripture. I would have like what sustains our faith in our toolboxes, and I coupled it, or I paralleled it to a toolbox, a general toolbox. And so if it was a wrench, a hammer, a screwdriver, how does this keep you grounded in your faith toolbox? And that's how faith and
Good,
fashion,
good.
was birthed. It was birthed through my traumatic experience. And not only, me dressing people, and then God changed how I dress people, so when I go out, or if I receive the client, I will ask God, what do you have me to say for
Mm-hmm.
this client? What do you want me to minister? How do you want me to minister to this client
Yes,
as I'm
yes.
dressing them? What words of encouragement? Because at that particular time, people were sheltering in place. People was losing loved ones.
Mm-hmm.
People was gaining weight.
Yeah.
People, it was a crazy time. So
Yeah.
me trying to make you feel good and look good at the same time, that was very challenging for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I really had to channel my faith, into, what God was calling me to do. And today, faith and fashion has reached, I would say, thousands. I mean, I can actually, give you the link so you can go back and see, what our viewers were like. Of course,
Mm-hmm.
they were sheltering in place. So the views were very, very high,
Yeah.
5K, 7.5K viewers, and people, viewing, the messages that was coming across. I had more than just stylists, I had people from the industry on my show,
Yeah.
and it allowed us to touch people in that particular moment. And then
Mm-hmm.
after, we were released to go back outside, I said, I got to continue to keep the faith. I got
Yeah.
to continue, be this minister of fashion. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not just walking around, dressing people, making them feel good, but I have a message
Mm-hmm.
behind, what faith and fashion is. And to this day, sometimes I get challenged on my faith. When my faith get weak,
Mm-hmm.
like, God, you said you was going to make my faith, is strong, through your word, through that fasting, through that prayer, through communing, with, God, because you can't have faith, without communing with your God, right?
Mm-hmm.
We really just can't. It's
Yeah.
it's it's no it's a no-brainer.
Yes.
We will have faith, like you talked about that confidence in others in the very beginning of our
Mm-hmm.
conversation. We as a people, and we as believers, we have more faith in people than we
Mm-hmm.
have within the very God, the God that formed us, that birthed us, that breathed into us, that woke us up in the morning every
Yeah.
single day, that gave us that favor, for whatever particular situation that we needed him for. We have faith in a lot of things. And I used to teach Sunday school class. And
Mm-hmm.
in my Sunday school class, when people would walk in that class, I watch how they sit down in that chair.
Mm-hmm.
We just plop down in the chair. We have more faith in the chair that we sit in than we have in God. And so in 2018, 2019, when God took away the very things that I really relied on, I was married for 25 years, right? He
Mm-hmm.
like I was separated. I became separated. I couldn't have faith in my husband anymore. I couldn't have faith in my pastor anymore. All I
Mm,
had was my God, my Lord, the
yeah.
one who I worship, who I adored, who I've spent time, numerous of hours in church every week, every time that the door opened. But I
Mm,
really didn't have relationship then. But I bet you in 2020, that's when my relationship began to grow with God. I began to see more. I began to
mm,
smell more. I began to discern more, not
mm,
just for others, but for myself and my clients. My clients started having more faith in me to dress them. Did I get off track? Yes. And God will redirect you. He will
mhm.
remind you. He
Yeah.
will remind you. I told you to trust me. Stop trusting in men. Some
Mm,
trust in horses, and some trust in chariots.
yes.
But I trust in the name of the Lord. I have nothing else but my faith, Jen. I
Ooh,
can't grow off of what you have. I can't grow off what my battle buddies have, because some probably are watching right now. But guess what? It is
yeah.
all a learning tool for me, a learning mechanism for me to be able to continue to trust God when my faith fails, when my
Yeah.
faith get weak,
Yeah.
when things are dark. We're in a dark time right now.
Mm,
Our world is dark.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna put on, guess what? I'm gonna put on the finest thing that I ever had because it makes me feel good. I don't know how it makes you feel to get dressed up, but it makes me feel so good to
Yes.
dress up. When I just put on, like today, I went to work. I have a 9 to 5. Yes, I have a 9 to 5. And when I go to my 9 to 5, I don't dress regular. They be like, "Where you going
Mhm.
today, Marie?" "Oh, I'm coming to the office." Because me dressing, it builds my
Yeah.
faith. It's a
Yeah.
conversation piece. It's going to make somebody stop me. And
Mhm.
once they stop me and say, "Hey, your shirt is cute. Hey, those pants, where you get those pants?" I got a chance to say, "Do
Yes.
you know Jesus Christ as your Lord
Yeah.
and Savior?" It is a
Mm,
conversation piece for me. And I told God that if you get me out of that trouble, I will be your witness. I will
mm,
tell everybody else about you. Anytime that I come in contact, my friends and family know, they call me church girl. They say you always churching something, but you could be saved and fly
mm,
too at the same
mhm.
time. It
Yes.
does not diminish who you are in Christ. It's
Yes.
just a conversation piece. That's just this outward appearance. It's just a conversation piece. It doesn't take
Mhm.
anything away from who you are as a character, who you are. It's just I serve God. I serve
Yes.
the Lord. I
Yes.
serve Christ. And you're gonna know about him when you talk
Mhm.
to me.
Mhm. It's gonna come up some kind of way.
It's
Some
gonna
kind of
come
way.
up some kind of way.
I like it. And the dopeness of the faith and fashion is that you're addressing the outer, but you're also touching that inner, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes,
You're
ma'am.
giving those words of encouragement as because again, random conversations is the best way for God to speak to anybody, whether you know God or don't know God. It'd be the random conversation.
Yes.
I got a close friend, we'll be talking, and before I know it, I'll be like, all right, Jesus, I'm listening, I'm hearing, where it's a conversation that we haven't yet had, but it's right on time for where I am in my life and things of that sort. So when you have those conversations with somebody of, you matching them up and putting them with the different pieces or encouraging them to try something different, it creates an atmosphere for them to share about some things, and then you get to kind of share, sis, I've
That's
been
it.
there, or those things, how you can encourage them as they're
Mm-hmm.
encouraging you, because it still goes both ways to just be able to know that, one, you're able to be used, like, God, oh, you're still talking to me. Oh, okay, God, what you want me to say? Because it's such an honor and privilege to have that moment to be able to
Mm.
talk. Yes, Patrice, she said, maximize every opportunity to witness. Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am.
I was in
Yes.
the airport and I had a shirt on that said, I think it said God made. Yep, I was repping my God made. I can't think of his name right now. I can see his face. Ortiz. Ortiz is his name.
Okay.
He had the line called God made. And I had it on. She was like, I like that shirt. We got to tell about Jesus. Then I was talking to somebody else. She got to tell me about her story and how she got married, how she waited on God. She thinking that she just telling her story and like being encouraged by her story, but she encouraging me too, because you're in a different age bracket where God can still make miracles happen. And it's
Yeah.
just dope time of how God makes things happen when it needs to happen to
Mm-hmm.
maximize him, that he gets the glory, because it still reflects right back down, because it was nobody but him that makes those things happen.
Nobody but him.
Oh,
Nobody but him. And it's fulfilling.
yeah.
I know, like some people, it's fulfilling for them, to I'm a marketplace minister, I'm
Mhm,
not a pulpit preacher. Can I probably, I preached in the pulpit before,
mhm,
several times or whatever, but my comfortability is, that one-on-one. Being
Mm-hmm.
able to minister to you in a one-on-one setting, because everybody is not coming to church. When I do photo shoots and things of that nature, people come on set sad, and it is
Mm-hmm.
my God-given ability to make you happy, to make
Mm.
you walk away like my life was changed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I get to do that. I get to, of course I make money, but I will do this for free. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
started off doing it for free.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I see that you feel better, that your confidence is boosted, your faith has grown in that very moment, I have done my job. And
Mm.
sometimes, I get convicted when I take on too many clients at one time, because I cannot, I don't have the time to go to the Father, in reference to you, that particular person or whatever. I really do get convicted, and I'm
Mm.
like, God, I appreciate, these opportunities or whatever, but I just need to be able to help my client reach full
Yeah.
potential, not only in their looks, their outward
Mm-hmm.
appearance, but in, sometimes they be going through something themselves, traumatic, weight
Mm.
loss, divorce, laid off from their job,
Mm-hmm.
and this comeback is very special for them, so it's like those pictures are a presentation to the world. I made it,
Mm.
you know and so the smile that resonates, on their faces through the photos might can touch
Yes.
somebody else. So it
Mm-hmm.
is my job behind the scenes to make you look the best it's possible, not just
Yeah.
on the outward appearance, but that's why I pray over, the clothes, I ask God
Mm-hmm.
to lead me. Where should I go? What can I put, on them? It's a whole popping circumstances. It's
Yeah.
very tedious for me. People just think, hey, we just gonna go get an outfit. No, it's not that just getting an outfit. Is it the right outfit? Is it going to change this person's life? Because some
Yeah.
people go back, they go back to after the photo shoot, they go back to the old ways.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd be like, they ain't listen, but
But the next day they might still have that makeup on, but the day after it's washing off.
Yep, yep. So I get to make people look good. It is my job, and I will do it, without being paid. I believe that God, ordained me for this. Never knew how I was going to get to this point. I
Mm-hmm.
always, will help my family and friends. That's why I said I will do it for free, and
Mm-hmm.
so now I get to do it, for a fee, a small
Mm-hmm.
fee.
Yes.
And then I get to do it in the name of the Lord. So
Yes.
that's the rewarding piece of it.
Yes.
And sometimes I'll be like, God, did I make your heart smile? you know did I are you pleased with my service? Because I am a true servant.
Yeah.
I love to serve others. I don't want to always bring attention to myself. Of course I'm going to dress nice. Of course, that is just who I am. My mother put that in me. Blame my mother, don't blame me. She did that. And so I just took it to another level, and I started caring about it, and I never knew that I would be here today. And even, through my traumatic experience, that's why I thank Holy Father, for that experience, because I would
Mhm.
never be here, being able to minister on this
Yeah.
level
Yeah.
in this type of setting, if I didn't go through what I went through. He took away the very thing that I made a small God
Cool.
so I can get to this point. He took away that thing that I really, really loved, two pillars in my life that I really, really love.
Mm.
And I'm like, where they at now, God? Where they at now, God? I have nobody. God said, you have me. Depend on me. Trust me. He will turn your ashes into, he will make them beautiful. He will
Yes.
turn your flaws and all, and that's what God did. He handcrafted me for this job that I have. And I don't take it lightly. I am very passionate about what I do, as a stylist. And I think, like one of your questions you had asked me, who's my favorite stylist or who's my favorite mentor. I mean, I've studied Ann Lowe. She was a matter of fact, this is Black History Month. So, Ann Lowe was the first African American stylist.
Awesome.
And she produced some fabulous, attire, and during slavery times. You understand what
Mm.
I'm saying? And then,
Mm.
we have those familiar ones like Chanel,
Mm.
we, but then my mentor is Jay Bolin. Why? Because he's faith-based. He
Mm.
loves the Lord, and
Yeah.
he's not afraid, to tell you about the Lord. He's not afraid to tell you about his story. It's always a story, with us believers, how we got from there to here. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why I will always pattern myself or look to the
Yeah.
believer. Like I do quote other stylists, that are,
Mm-hmm.
not, I'm not going to say they're not believers because I don't know, but the ones that I do know, he was the one that I looked up to, and I still look up to him today. I have his phone number. I can call him today, but I don't bother him. But,
Mm-hmm.
it is a pleasure and an honor, for me to serve in this capacity. Everybody don't get to serve in this capacity. There are many stylists, and I don't profess to be the greatest styler, or, but I know I have an audience assigned to
Mm-hmm.
me, for
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
for me. And, I want to carry that assignment with great joy, and I want to handle it with care.
Yeah, so many great points you shared. One of the
Wow.
pieces was, in seeking God, with clients and things. And I started Jen Cares during the pandemic because I still wanted to be able to connect with people, wanted to be able to share resources, encourage
Yeah.
others, empower others, um, and normalize the importance of us addressing our mental health because life be life and sometimes,
Yeah.
right? And
Hmm.
one of my prayers every time I go live is, God, whatever it is that you want to be said may be said. And
Yes.
whoever tunes in, may they hear something that encourages them to keep on going. And if that's not happening anymore, then let me know so we could just stop it, right? Because if it
Right.
ain't giving me glory, if it ain't edifying and helping somebody to, keep on going, then I'm wasting my time a little bit. But if it's helping somebody to keep on going, all right, I guess I can stay in this fight a little while longer. Another piece
Hmm.
that you said was those coming into the shoots came in sad, right?
Hmm.
Because life really does be happening. And so many times we show up to different places and we are hoping that we bring all that we have, but life still sometimes get the best of us. But being able to be
Yes.
on your assignment wherever you are in whatever capacity you have, we're on some jobs for a reason to be able to encourage and uplift somebody else. Are we prepared when they come in? We talk about church, and how church, are we prepared when they come in to really be able to love on them? Me included, want to always just, share love to people. Today I was on my way to work and three different people stopped me trying to get directions and things of that sort. I was like, yeah, you go here, you go there. And that's how quick we gotta be. We gotta be ready. We can't like turn up our nose. They're lost, they're trying to find a way. And if you know the way,
Yeah.
how does it hurt you to really show them the way? Now, using discernment, because we know that some people try to get over and things of that sort. But this was general people just trying to find a Dollar Tree. Yep, you got to go up the steps, down the steps, around the corner, and there it is. Is this the one going to 69th Street? Yes, this is the one going to 69th Street. And I don't remember another question somebody was asking, but that's how we have the tools within us and that confidence, we have to be confident that we know what we're talking about. We know what the Bible
Yeah.
says. You're a Christian, you know what the Bible says, you know what God's done for you. So you can encourage somebody else. Like if he did for me, he can do it for you because he is no respecter of persons. Now we
Right.
got our parts
Right.
that we gotta do to stay in alignment, and it ain't always gonna be what we want because it's gonna be his will to line up. But
Yeah.
again,
Absolutely.
it costs us nothing. Causes nothing.
Nothing at all. Nothing.
It's good. Belinda said, yes, sometimes we are the only Bible people see. Our representation is everything. Impression leave
Hmm.
a taste in people's mouths, whether good or bad. One of my favorite quotes is, people will forget what you said, but they'll never forget how you made them feel.
Yes. Yes.
Never.
Yes.
I mean, they could apologize. You could apologize, but they will still never forget. And I know because I'm a victim of it. I'd be like, yeah, but she did such. I'd be like, but didn't she apologize? She did. But I still felt how I felt because our feelings are valid, but we have to be able
Right.
to also manage those too. Jennifer ain't that deep. She apologized, move forward. It wasn't that big. And we got to go through that process because sometimes, yeah, it was deep, it was big, it was bad. But we got to pull
But
ourselves back.
that's a whole nother topic. Their forgiveness piece, and
Yeah.
what they done to us. And like, I was on a prayer call like maybe last Wednesday or Thursday morning, and we was talking about that forgiveness piece and the passage that, because it was Valentine's Day week, and it was what is it, First Corinthians 13, that love passage. And it was talking about all the things, how love covers, what is love. And so someone said, so the envy part. They was talking about that envy part, and like the thing that not to remember. It's hard not to remember when somebody is trying to do harm to you, or if they done harm to you. It's kind of hard for you to forget that. That's a growing piece. That's that forgiveness piece. kind of hard for us, and God is still working on me with that forgiveness piece. But I will be mad for a little bit, but then I'll forget it, because I'm not a grudge holder. And I have never been, even without Christ, I've never been, like, yeah, I want to get revenge. But after a while, after I done got my nick back or my lick back, I forgot about it. And I'm like, hey, girl. Then the girl see me on the street, like, what? You remember you were.
Yes.
I done forgot all about it. You
Nobody.
know, I done forgot all about it. But I think that's a whole nother topic on that
Mhm,
forgiveness piece,
mhm, mhm.
but it's nothing to smile at somebody. It's nothing
Mhm,
to give them a
mhm.
kind word. It's nothing to make them to be able to feel you know good.
Yeah.
And I never
Yeah.
forget, just most recently someone lost their dad, and they came on set for a photo shoot. They was like, well, I don't know how this photo shoot is going to end, or how it's going to be, because I've been very
Mhm.
sad for a long time. And when you lose a loved one, such as myself, I lost my best friend of 20 plus years. Like, she was a part of my everyday life. Like, we made decisions together, whether it related to my children, whether it related to our everyday lives, our businesses, and things of that nature. And then all of a sudden, she's not here anymore. Like, my world stopped, and I stopped smiling. And so I know how that can feel. So that's how awesome God is. He will take you through that thing so that you can help somebody else. You understand what I'm saying? And so when the lady came on set, she was like, well, I lost my dad, and it's been a year, and today makes a year, so I said, so did you purposely, have this photo shoot on, your dad's, the date of, your dad's passing? And she was like, no, it was just the date that you gave me, but you didn't even know. So I didn't want to say, no, I couldn't do it. I said, well, I think it was purposeful, for you to be here. We're going to make this experience, so good for you. You're not even going to think about the sad moments or whatever. And so she sent the note, and I have the note here to prove it. She sent myself and a photographer in a group chat. You guys don't know how you made me feel today. She was like, I haven't smiled like that in a long time. And I was like, God, that's what it's all about. And I side chatted, my the photographer that I work with sometimes, and he was like, that's what it's all about, Toya. That's what it's all about. We have to change lives here in this studio. And hope she's still smiling. I hope she's listening today, or will watch the replay of this, because like, having photo shoots and how we, what part we take in people's lives, it's very important. It's very important. And you yourself, Jen, cares. You know what I'm saying? You never know what people need on today, especially now. We're going through a tough time.
Yeah. 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 For sure. Because life is interesting. And again, one day you feel like you're doing great. Then here comes a snowstorm. Actually, let me take that back. Life is going well. Then you hear that a storm is coming. And you don't even know how bad it's going to be. Because if we really talk about these last two snowstorms, one, the first one before the last one, the snow was gone before the day was over. I'm not going to talk about how I shoveled and put salt down and didn't need to. I don't watch the weather. Had I watched it, I probably would have known not to do that. But I still was prepared and ready to do what needed to be done, right? And then the second one came, and it didn't even really look like it was here. It didn't stay on the sidewalks. The streets were still clear and things of that sort. But though the storm may be coming, we brace for it. Sometimes it's going to be a mess, but we can make it through. Every time that snow comes, we're able to clean it up, shovel it up, put some salt down so we don't slip and fall. And that's the part of like understanding assignment. If something comes up and it's unexpected, what can I do to help me still stand footed, flat footed, to be able to survive this thing? Because that wind is going to blow. It's going to blow. It's going to rain. It's going to hail. But you can still make it through, friends.
Oh my God. Yes. You just said a mouthful. But that's what life is. Sometimes,
Yeah.
we go through a storm.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we might be on a mountaintop, like on the roller coaster up high,
Yes.
and then sometimes we might be in a valley low, but when
Yes.
the storm come, are we prepared? How will we navigate the storm? I preached a message one time at maybe like last October or so, and it was talking about storms don't last always. And God really, dealt with me with that thing. I kept reading that passage, and it was a Matthew passage, Matthew 14, actually, and it was like, I was saying that sometimes you think that you are so close to God, but you're so far away from God. And so when you feel like you're far away from God, you panic. That's a storm. You panic. Oh, I don't hear his voice. Oh, I don't, feel his touch. Oh, I don't feel his care. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But it's a storm. And sometimes, if you just stay the course, if you hang in there, don't
Mm,
panic, you will feel his touch. You will feel that he's close by. You will hear his voice, but you can't hear his voice in the chatter. You can't hear it when the winds and the waves are really, really high, because you're like, oh my God, it's gonna kill me. You're panicking. Like you're on the phone, like, guess what, girl? Guess what happened? You picking up your phone, like
yeah.
you're chitter chattering with everybody else, but you're not chitter chattering with God. You're not being still. And
Mm,
one thing, I've learned in that passage, when Peter took his eyes off God,
yep.
he drowned, right?
Yep. Yep.
Then God came and he was like, save me, Lord, save me, in the storm.
Yes.
In the
Yes.
storm. See, we go crazy when we hear that the storm is coming. We at the
Mm-hmm.
market, like you said, we're preparing, putting salt down, we're shoveling, we're doing all those things. But is the storm really coming?
Mm-hmm.
And then when it comes, it's not as big as we think.
Mm-hmm.
Like the one we had last Tuesday, if you're in the Philadelphia surrounding areas, it was
Yes.
nothing. I done canceled appointments. I had a prom client because I was afraid. I had an accident in the storm one time, and I just don't play around with them streets or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
this is what we do.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
what we do. We prepare for the worst. But why can't we
Mm-hmm.
prepare for the best?
Yeah.
Like God is going to come and rescue us. Oh, I'm talking to me right now.
Yeah.
I'm talking to me right now. It is crazy how we do as believers.
Crazy.
But I think like we have to go through those storms.
Mm-hmm.
Because storms come to make us. It gives us a testimony how we're going to navigate so that we can help someone else. Tough times, and those dark moments. God allow us to go through them. And I always say that the bigger your anointing, the greater your storm, the greater your test. And I used to be like, God, why you choose me? I want my regular life back. I'm
Here.
not even trying to go none of that. I'm not even trying to even have a prayer life. you
Ah.
know, I just want to go to church and sing on this praise team.
Mm.
And that's it. But God said no. And he came and disrupted my life. I'm not a regular person anymore. Glory be to God. Sometimes it's very tough being here. It's very lonely. you
Yeah.
know we're very isolated.
Yeah.
And it is sometimes people think the fame, like I don't feel like I have fame or whatever, but my brand is growing. And as
Mm-hmm.
my brand growing, God will detach people from me. And I'm like, oh God, are you showing me people? He's like, no, they can't go with you.
Mm.
But that is just life. Like we have to depend on God. That passage just keep on coming back to me. That Ephesians 5 passage, trust in the Lord with all thy heart, acknowledge him in everything that we say and do, that he, like lean. You can't lean to yourself. You can't lean to people. He wants you to lean on him. He wants you to trust in him. He wants you to believe in him. And I feel like once you get to that point where you don't have anybody else to trust, that's why he isolates us. So, because God is jealous, Judd, he is very, very jealous. He takes part in a jealous moment
Yeah. Yeah.
when you start putting people in his place.
Yeah.
He said it in his word.
He said in his word. Friends, I just want to share it's Proverbs 3 and 5 that our sister sharing about trusting the Lord, trusting the Lord with all your heart. And that part of how when you go into different
Proverbs. I'm
levels,
sorry. I'm sorry about
you,
that.
I
Go
got
ahead.
you back, sis. That process of shifting gears or shifting lanes causes people, places, and things to drop off. And if I'm
Mm.
honest, sometimes it stinks.
Mm-hmm.
But in that part of understanding what your assignment is, what you got to do, as hard as it is, because if God gave you the assignment, you got to be able to go for it, do what he said, because then he'll be like, on judgment day, but I told you to, but Mary, Sue, and Jane didn't come. But I told Jennifer.
Yeah.
Mary Sue and Jane had their own things. Did Jennifer do what she was supposed to be doing? And then that part, some of us are sleeping on some things. I was so I have another podcast that comes out on Thursdays, Blended Fab. And in an episode I
Mm-hmm.
was talking about in spades, how sometimes you'll bid and you got a little bit more in your hand that you can really do, but you be nervous. And that's it. We do to ourselves. We underbid ourselves. We can knock the
Underbid.
game out. Me and my partner can handle it. The partner is God. We can handle it, but I underbid because I be like, I don't know. So we can't underbid ourselves. If anything go above, you can take a bag. A bag is nothing.
Yeah.
You don't want to be under because then you
You don't
lose.
want to be under. Yes, I love spades. I love that game.
Yes.
Why do we hold on to those? We hold on to those books because we afraid that we
Mm-hmm.
going underbid. But that's
Mm-hmm.
where that trust part comes in there.
Yes.
Trusting your partner, like you said,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
your partner, God. He not
Whew.
going never, fellas. He's never going to disappoint us.
Never will. Never
Never.
will.
If somebody right now that's listening on this live right now that can say that God ever failed them, speak up right now. I bet
Mm-hmm.
you it won't be one person. I'm not sure how many people is watching, but I just really feel like we as believers, we really need to trust God more. But that comes with building our faith. We won't be able to trust him if we don't have any faith.
We
And like you
won't.
said, we trust in a whole lot of other things,
Mm-hmm.
or we have confidence in a whole lot of other things rather ourselves. um and how you trust in yourself is when you have that confidence. Like you need more confidence.
Mm-hmm.
So people speaking into your life, you reading the word of God,
Mm-hmm.
studying and communing
Yes.
with God. That's how you get confidence. And that's how I began to get confidence. And that's what my mentor was telling me in this fashion industry. You have to have confidence. He'd be like, girl, you basically be down on yourself and you got it. You just need confidence. I could dress somebody with my eyes closed, but if I don't believe that, it's not going to come out that way. you know I can dress them in the dark. I can pull a t-shirt and a pair of jeans together and add some accessories or a jean skirt or do whatever, and they're dressed with a little elevation to it. But it won't be displayed if I don't have any confidence. You know what I'm saying? We could, Jen, we could talk about this all day long.
All day long. What's something that you want us to walk away with?
So I have a lot that I want you guys to walk away with. And so, but today for this live, for this podcast, I would like for you to go and read Proverbs 5 and 3, right? Um,
3 and 5.
hold on. 3 and 5. So I'm sorry, I always get it mixed up. So I could actually read it to you right now, and I want you guys to study the passage and let it become alive in your life and watch God change your life. And it is 3 and 5. It's Proverbs 3, 5 through 6. And it says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. A lot of times we go off on our own paths, and that's where we go wrong at. That's where we can't build our faith because it's on our own selves. And I believe that if we trust in the Lord, and acknowledge him in everything that we say and do, we will have more victory stories. We will have more, stories of success. We will have more prideful, stories, and so that is for me. If you can pinpoint this up on your prayer boards this year or your affirmation boards this year and study that passage and basically meditate on it and watch God change your life. He changed my life back in 2020. I'll never forget it. I will never forget it. And I apologize if I was flipping it around,
Don't
but
worry.
God is awesome. We can do nothing without him. We will
Mm.
fail. That's another passage for you. Go study that in Hebrews. Without faith, it is impossible to please God. Anybody, who depend on God must come to God first. And I guess declare, not I guess, but declare that he is a rewarder, right? And so if we want faith, we have to acknowledge who God is and what he does and who he is in our lives and watch your faith grow. That's what I want your audience, my audience, who's ever going to watch this replay, to take home with them today or tomorrow or tonight. God, go get some faith. Don't be out here without any faith. Go get some faith.
Go get some faith. I wouldn't want to go none of the streets of The world without the faith. It's funny. I went on a trip last year and it was in a different country. So they was like, I'm going to the little event or whatever. They was like, well, be careful. I said, well, if I go, it's my time to go. They was like, don't say that. I got faith in God. Either he gonna bring me back or he not. But
Wow.
either way, his will is
Right.
being done. They was like, you so
Yeah.
nope. I got confidence in God that he's gonna take care of me. I'm not doing nothing stupid. I'm not going out here trying to do nothing crazy. Just going to the event and coming on back and things of that sort. And we got to be able to have that faith, that confidence of God. You brought me here. You're gonna work it out and we're gonna bring it on back when we gotta go. And you give me the wisdom and guidance. And if he tells me not to go, if he tells you not to go, if you get an inkling that you shouldn't go, please stay home.
Yes. That's that Proverbs passage.
Yes. Just stay home.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I thank you so much for joining us. This was really good. I do appreciate you for coming and sharing. You dropped some good nuggets, friends. Uh, do share by either sharing the actual live or sharing a conversation with somebody. I was talking to somebody or I was listening to somebody because that's how it happens and it comes back to our mind. And in those moments that we need to be reminded of, trusting in the Lord. In those moments, we need to be reminded that without faith, it is impossible.
It is impossible.
Friends. I do encourage you to keep on going this thing called life. I thank you so much. This was
No, thank
good.
you, Jen. Thank you so much for having me on your platform. I really appreciate you even thinking about me. It was an honor and a privilege. I'm so excited to be here tonight. If you ever need anything, if you ever need any advice in reference to style, give me a holla. You can email me or you can send me a chat via DM. It was a
Oh,
pleasure being here tonight.
same here. Thank you so much. May you have a great evening.
You too. Bye, everybody.
Oh, friends. I do hope that you enjoyed the amazing Toya on tonight. She did that. I hope that you did enjoy. I do want to share. I didn't get the someone I shared last week about this great product that I used. It's called Magic Minds, and I wanted to tell you guys because someone asked about the link again. And I was sharing because it was really great. My friends over at Magic Mind had me try out their drink, and it's a productivity drink. It's a little shot, but it's made with some natural ingredients, and it was really, really cool. So I wanted to just share again with those that had asked. It was a friend, James. He was diagnosed with a heart condition due to some high levels of stress and too much caffeine. So he started a green tea that gave him a calmness and while keeping your heart alert. But then he made this drink that boosts your energy, enhances focus, creates a sense of calm, alertness. All of the ingredients in it are natural. And it was funny because when I was going through this, I was like, I had to do my research to find out if it was good or not. And then I tried it in France. It was pretty good. It worked out. I have a bottle for tomorrow because it's a long day and I need to just make sure that I am present as I support and work with my staff and teams tomorrow for our we have a staff meeting. So friends, if you're interested, you can head over to magicmind.co/Jen and you can put in code Jen20. And guess what? You're going to get a discount because I told them that it was good and I liked it and I wanted to share it with my friends. So you can get up to 56% off if you're becoming a subscriber, or you can get 20% off for your one-time purchase. And again, friends, I enjoyed it. If you do coffee, you can do it with coffee, but there's so many great benefits from it. I do encourage you to check it out. I'll put the link in the caption so you can check it out and see if it's for you. I liked it. I encourage you to try it. Similar to like a 5-hour energy, but it's a healthy concoction of ingredients that really help you to stay focused throughout your day. Friends, don't forget our Black History Fact of the Month. We found the first African American psychologist, and that is Dr. Francis Sumner. Again, that I'm so excited for him. He was a teenager without a high school education, friends, but he passed the entrance exam at Lincoln and graduated with honors. He did that. I'm so honored. Found out about him. He then is credited as one of the founders of the psychology department at Howard University because he chaired that from 1928 until his death in 1954. So today we honor the late Dr. Francis Sumner. Be sure to join us on next week as we close out this month's theme, Live, Laugh, Love, and Learn with Walk It Out with Byron and Margaret McKee. I am so excited to have them, so be sure to join us. Friends, as shared, we do have our Blended Fad podcast. This Thursday, we will launch the 8th episode of season 1. And friends, this whole season has been amazing. Please be sure to drop me a note of what episode you love the best. We're excited. Season 2 will be dropping soon. We've been doing the recordings for those, and I'm just truly, truly honored to be able to share new information and resources with you all. If you would like to be a guest, be sure to email us at info@chozencounselors.com. I do love and appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in, for liking, and coming back again. Last but not least, do not forget our quote of the day. The man who has confidence in himself gains the confidence of others. Again, this is a proverb, and it says, the man who has confidence in himself gains the confidence of others. Friends, again, I do love and appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in, for liking, for sharing, for commenting, for staying with us as we had this amazing conversation of I understood the assignment. Whatever you are tasked to do, you got to understand what it is that you got to do. And you have to reach out to the resources that you need to make sure that it happens. So until next time, I love y'all for real. Good night.
Friends, we thank you for joining Jen Cares this week. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Unable to watch us live? Be sure to find us on your favorite podcast platform. You can also visit our website, chozencounselors.com. That's Chozen with a Z, to stay in the know and most of all, never miss a show. If you found value in this show, we'd appreciate you sharing it with a friend. Most of all, be sure to tune in for our next episode as we specialize in bringing the community to you.